I just think as well, like,
So
even if you think about it from another perspective, like when we kind of, I've said this a couple of times this episode, like we think about grief, people, as soon as people say grief, they think death. And I massively disagree with that, because I think grief is just an emotion of feeling a sense of loss, essentially, and how you deal with that. So when I think about some of my friends that have had long-term relationships come to an end and they're grieving that, that is like a new self-discovery as well. So they are potentially dealing with that in a very different way to how I anticipated them to. I just think that, what's that saying? Assuming you make an ass out of
us
you
and
and
you and me.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is so true in any situation. Like, you've just got to let people take the lead and not be maybe as judgmental sometimes. I think as human beings, we can be quite judgmental characters and saying, oh, well, I didn't deal with it that way, or I went back to, especially if you're in a position of like management or anything like that. And we've really not spoke about work actually when it comes to these sort of things, because I maybe that's a topic we can cover in the future. But if you are managing someone, I had a team member a week after I went back to work, or 2 weeks after I went back to work from losing my dad, lost their dad. And I had to manage that as like a manager. But rather than assuming that individual wanted as much time off as I had, or wanted to deal with it in the same way that I did, or didn't want to be at work, I just asked them, how can I support you? What do you need? If you need some time off, that's absolutely fine.